Hello everybody, here we are today and we are continuing on with our season previews. Today we have the Montreal Canadiens. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to me if you're new to my channel, or me, hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Habs ended up having another disappointing year, I guess if you want to call it that. Obviously another season without the playoffs for a club that, has come to expect a lot in their history. So with them missing the postseason again, what are some storylines heading into this season? Well, the first one is, let's talk about Juraj Slafkovsky. So Juraj obviously taken with the first pick in the 2022 draft and is somebody that didn't have a rookie year that you were enthralled with. He had 10 points in 39 games played, 4 goals and 6 assists before being shut down with a lower body injury like 3-4 months left to go in the season. So he wasn't even able to play half of the games this past year, averaged about 12 minutes a night. And, I think it's just really frustrating, not necessarily because you're upset with him, but you just know that for this team and this fan base and this region, that they expect a lot. And I am going to say that we also have to understand the fact that he's 18 years old, or he was 18 years old. I think he's 19 now. In his rookie year, guy that's a foreign player that is going to a market that is so historic. I could see other pressures on him, but I will say there are some good things. The first one is nobody from this draft class has got a lot of games played. I think Uri actually has the lead, and then it's like Shane Wright with like 8 games. And then the rest kind of tapers off. So you don't have a lot of that drama where you might see somebody get drafted and then the guy below you is having a Calder type year, and then people are saying, oh my gosh, I wish we would have picked him, this guy's terrible, send hateful messages on Instagram or whatever the case is. I don't think you're dealing with that. So that is good. And then the second thing you got to understand too is he's a bigger guy, probably still growing into his body, and had a whole offseason to prepare. We've seen with some guys that Martin St. Louis, head coach for Montreal, has been able to get them going when maybe they were having a little bit slower start. Cole Caufield, obviously a guy that caught in a little bit of a rut before St. Louis got there, and then he arrives and things were going pretty well for him. So for Uri, you're hoping some things can transition there. Obviously, Caufield's build compared to Slafkovsky's build is a lot different, in the way they're probably going to play is going to be a lot different, but you are hoping that Uri can take a step forward this year. He's projected on the second line. I really don't know where he's going to be right now. He averaged about a little over 12 minutes a night last year, but for him, just learning the game a little bit more, being a little bit more confident, and not having the fan base turn on him. Yep, not having the fan base turn on him, just saying that right now, will be key to him hopefully developing and really blossoming in year 2, even if it's not leaps and bounds, taking the next step forward, as he is someone they're hoping can be part of Montreal for a long time and to get things back to how they used to be. The second thing is, what is a full year of Cole Caufield going to look like? So Cole had a really good year last year, tied for the team lead for goals with 26, played just 46 games. You know who was tied with him? Nick Suzuki, 26 goals, 82 games. So Cole obviously was on pace for a really big year, 46, 47 goals, something like that, before a shoulder injury kind of derailed him for the season. I am so excited to see what he's going to be able to do, because the past 2 years he has been incredible, combined for 49 goals in 113 games played, or about pace of 36 goals per season. There's some questions surrounding him going into this year, a lot of it being about durability and health coming off of that injury, and the fact that he's never been able to crack like 70 games in his career, young career, mind you. But you're hoping that he's going to be all right and able to get to where he can play a lot of games. Now, I know he was sent down to the HL before, called up later one of those years, and then last year had that injury. But it would kind of be nice to see him if he's like Nick Suzuki, where he can go out there and give you 82 games. I'm not saying he will, but if you could get 70 games out of him and then see what's going to happen here, that'd be really good. Because mind you, Cole signed that new extension that's worth like $63 million, and they'd like to see things go well. Am I saying that he's going to go out there and score 50 goals this year? I don't know. That's kind of a crazy number, but again, if he was on pace for 46, 47 goals last year and he comes back and has a strong start, you never really know with him. And, while I'll say that seems like a lot to ask for, again, past 2 years have been really good for Cole, as him and St. Louis seem to have been able to get things going the right direction. He's on the top line this year. Him and Suzuki are going to go out there. Things are probably going to be good. They're probably going to provide offense. And with Caufield, he's probably the best goal scorer from this year. if he's healthy, there's no way anybody finishes above him 4 goals this season. So I guess we'll get to see if last year was kind of a career year for him in terms of pace, or if we're really starting to see the blossoming of him as a top goal scorer in the NHL. And then the final talking point here for the Habs is, can they get out of the basement? Now, unless I did something wrong here and was looking at something incorrectly, before these past 2 seasons, the Montreal Canadiens had never finished last in their division back-to-back years. There were some years when they might have finished second to last, but never last, which is something that they've done the past 2 seasons. This is a team that's been around for over 100 years, going into the 106th season. So they're making history, just not the kind of history they want to make. And can they get away from that a little bit? Because, the Habs have not been good for a while. They haven't won a division title since 2017. They did make the final in 2021, but again, we kind of know the story there. Got in a weak Canadian division. Were able to go on a run. Carey Price got hot. They were blocking shots, winning gritty games. It happens. This team has looked bad for a while now. And in fact, the past 2 years, they've gone 53, 94, and 17. So it's going to be a tall task looking at that and saying, man, they really have not impressed for a bit. And they, of course, have finished, bottom last 2 years. So what are you going to be getting out of them? Are they a lock for the bottom seed? I think maybe, but I do think at the same time you could be looking at something to say maybe not, because it was really their last 20 games that just put them and buried them for that final spot. They ended up going 5-15-3, I think it's what it is, unless I typed in something here on my notes. But yeah, you're just looking at this and realizing that the Habs just fell apart towards the back end of the season. There's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, Cole was out. Some other guys were out. And they, felt like the season was already going to be shut down for them. They got eliminated from the playoffs relatively early. But their first 60 games of the season, not that bad. On pace for 77 points had they been able to go on that pace. The bad news is last year they still would have kept them in bottom of the division. They would have put them, 3 points shy of Detroit. But, who's to say that if they start winning some games here or there, the standings aren't impacted around them. I don't know if they played Detroit in those final 20 games of the year, but obviously this is something to look at and say, well, there is hope if they just don't fall apart like they did towards the back end of the year. Are they going to be the favorite probably to be the pick for bettors to be worse in the division? I'd say probably right now. Will they be worse in the division this year? Well, let me get into my final overall thoughts on what I think. So, going into the season, I don't really think it's, up for debate that Montreal is going to have low expectations for what they want to achieve. I do think we're looking at another year where they miss the playoffs. Do I think they're going to finish last in the division? I do, unfortunately. And I think that, part of the problem is with all the teams above them, they just outright look better than them. I don't think there's a single team that I look at and say, yeah, Montreal can kind of hang with them over a season basis, maybe over a series, but over an 82-game season, right now I'm not seeing it. The good news is they've got young guys that are exciting to see. A lot of people comparing Nick Suzuki to Patrice Bergeron. Boy, if that career blossoms into what Bergeron's been able to do, you'd love it. Cole Caufield, again, having a good year, and plenty of other guys to be excited about. I'm really looking to see how Uri does this year in year 2, and I'll say Montreal is not a team that isn't worth watching. I am going to be watching them. I just don't want Habs fans to kind of get this expectation that we could really take a step forward this year, because I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, though, I do think they'll probably be a bottom 10 team, which isn't the worst in the world, because, again, you're probably getting top-end talent, which helps you for the future. But what are your thoughts, though, on Montreal going into this season? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Hey, have a great night, and go off hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.